Alrighty, guys. Welcome, welcome. Hope everyone is doing good. It is good to have you guys here for another update on the tropics. We got ourselves Invest 93L. We are still looking out for. But I hope you guys are doing well. It is good to have y'all here. All right, hold on one second. We're going to get this all set up, which we are now good to go. What's up, guys? Welcome, welcome. So, I got a lot of cool stuff to show you in this live stream, guys. This is just going to be a quick little update on 93L. What's up, Rosheen? Is that how you say your name? Saying hi. What's up? Good to have you here. Welcome, everybody joining us. So, I've been working really hard on my website today. And I am happy to tell you guys that we now have spaghetti models. We now have everything tropical related. So let's go ahead and take a look at the page here. So we have all tropical models, spaghetti models. We got the intensity guidance. We got it all, my friend. So super, super excited about that. I do need to touch up on a few things like the text, but you know what? It's doing pretty good. Anyways, what's up, Carson? Saying hey, what's up? What's up, Mark? Let's see, what's up, August? Hope you're doing good. Do I know if it's intensifying? So there's kind of a problem with the storm here, and that's kind of the fact that the storm is a little too close to land here. As you guys can see, this is where the latest position is, just off the coast of the western side of Florida, or the Panhandle, and just off the coast here of Alabama. So this system is going to be working its way to the west here. It is going to be tracking, the center is going to be tracking over the far southeastern side of Louisiana. It might even come out there towards like Gulfport area here. You can see the spaghetti models do have it going through there. The median point here does have the system kind of trailing, up into the eastern side of Louisiana, which, definitely could be, bringing a bit of rainfall to the region and all that stuff. So, I would expect the potential for flooding is, we are going to be seeing a pretty good amount of precipitation and all that stuff here. What's up, Michael? Hope you're doing good. Yes, I do, Western. Let's see here. What's up, Quarter? What's up, Sonia? Hope you're doing good. But yeah, no, it is expected to work its way in towards like Louisiana. Now, this is not a tropical storm yet, and to be honest, I'm going to be quite fair with you guys. I don't think it's going to really become a tropical storm either. This is the latest intensity guidance here from the from the latest spaghetti models here. This is actually my own site, like I said, that I made here. And you can see that we are just shy of tropical storm status, but it's not. We're not even a tropical depression. We're not really doing so hot. Tropical storm related. I do not think it'll be a tropical storm. But you can see the intensity guidance here. Majority of these models just continues to have it, just kind of staying steady in terms of strength. Not really intensifying. I mean, obviously we have this one outcast model that goes into tropical storm status, but considering that's the only model that suggests that, we can just throw that in the trash. But, with that being said, though, majority of the models does have it under tropical storm status here, which is in the green here, which you guys can actually see here. So, I've been working on this all today. I've been working on getting my set up all good to go. I still need to edit a few things, but yeah, the green's tropical storm strength. This goes up to Cat 5, but obviously the system is going to be well within under tropical storm status here. So that's good. That is good. I really don't think that this storm is going to be a tropical storm or anything like that. Now, looking at satellite, though, I will tell you, it does look pretty decent. There is a lot of convection that's really going on with the storm here. If we hop our way over here to a closer view, actually, we're gonna bring up a sub-regional view of this here. So if we take a look down to the south here, you can actually see that we do have, a decent amount of convection that's occurring with the storm here. Honestly, it's really not looking, obviously it is not tropical storm, yet, or I don't think it will be. But there is a good amount of convection, a good amount of storm activity going on with it. August, thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate it, my friend. That is really nice of you. Thank you so much, August. Appreciate it. What's up, Sydney? Saying dropping in to say hello. Well, I'm glad you did. It is good to have you here. Here, honestly, if we hop over to, this will probably be better if we look at the mesoscale floater. It'll give us a little bit more frames as well, as you can kind of see. But yeah, I mean, it's been doing pretty good. We actually do have a pretty good amount of convection in it. But like I mentioned here, this thing is not a tropical storm yet. Right now, the Hurricane Center has this thing at a 40% chance probability here of overall development here. Now, what that means is that, this thing could become a depression, possibly a short-lived depression. But the problem is that this system here is, like I said, really close to the shore. This thing's really not super far out. And honestly, even the central low is a little bit offset from a lot of that heavier convection, but you can see a lot of that storm activity right now is over eastern Louisiana. So let's go ahead and hop our way over here into the outlooks here from the WPC. I do want to touch up on the flooding threat here, because we are going to be having some impacts here regarding that. So let me go ahead and hop on down over to the excessive rainfall outlook here. So for today, we do have a level 2 flooding threat for areas out by New Orleans. Just a bit of a heads up here. August says, let's see, I wish I had more to give. No, you know what? I really appreciate it. And you didn't even have to do what you did. And seriously, thank you so much for the 5. I really appreciate it. Just thank you so much for that. What's up, Noah? Saying what's up. Good to have you here, my friend. But yeah, so hopping back over here, we do have a level 2 flooding threat, though, out there by, like, New Orleans, some of those regions here on the southeastern side of Louisiana. You can see the level 1 flooding threat does extend into the western panhandle here, Florida, a little bit of southern Alabama, southern Mississippi here, but the main flooding threat here is going to be up here across eastern, kind of southeastern Louisiana here overall. So that is the latest here, which, once again, this is at least a 15% chance probability of flooding. Now, looking at the totals here, if we actually take a look over the next few days, we're going to do the multi-day 1 to 3. I mean, you can kind of see that a lot of these coastal areas here could get quite a bit of rainfall, upwards of over maybe 5 or so inches. Locally higher amounts could be quite possible. WPC has, New Orleans area here, picking up maybe a couple of inches here within the next couple of days. But it really does show a lot of heavy rain, though, for a lot of these southern coastal regions here of Louisiana. As of now, a lot of those regions, out there just south of Baton Rouge, towards the coastline, could be well within 5 or so inches. Once again, locally higher amounts will definitely be possible, with that system. But, really not a whole lot of heavy rainfall moving inland. You can see a lot of central Louisiana is probably going to be within the range of maybe 1 upwards of 2 inches. Once again, locally higher amounts could be possible. And of course, out there by like central southern Mississippi, not really a whole lot. More than likely, we're going to be less than an inch or so. So really not expecting a whole lot. This is mostly going to be coastal impacts from what it looks like, with the threat for mostly flooding, within this storm here. And, once again, hopping back over to my website here, taking a look here back at my my spaghetti charts here, regarding the intensity, you can see that the main models here, just have this thing hovering, just under that tropical storm status. So I do not think it'll be a tropical storm. This thing could be a short-lived tropical depression, which, in turn would really just be mostly still a main concern for flooding. Really tropical depressions, I mean, yeah, they can be impactful other ways, but majority for this storm is going to be the flooding concern. Not necessarily much of, the winds or anything like that. It'll be a little gusty, of course, in some spots, but, it's not going to be, full-blown tropical storm or full-blown hurricane. I really don't believe so. Definitely not hurricane at this point, but, tropical storm, I really don't think so, just because of its proximity to land. It is right there on the coast, in which I don't really think it'll get to that point here. So this is the latest from the Hurricane Center here. Taking a look at the area, as you can see, obviously this is where the storm system is in its development area. Once again, SPC, or sorry, not SPC, I'm used to talking about severe weather. NHC, Hurricane Center, has actually put a 40-40 chance on it, which, throughout the next 2 days, 40% chance probability here of overall development here. So that is what we need to, what we need to look out there for. So, time is running thin for this thing to develop here overall. But, like I mentioned, though, this thing could definitely become a short-lived tropical depression here, in which, that is what we're looking at. So, Michael, there is not a tornado threat with this storm system. SPC currently does not have any form of severe weather risk for the area. If we take a look at today's day 1 convective outlook here, you can see we do have a thunderstorm threat. Let's see here. I don't know why that brought back to precipitation. But we do have a thunderstorm threat across a lot of the region here, but not any severe weather is expected. The general thunderstorm threat just states that, there could be some storms, but nothing severe is expected, severe weather-wise. No tornadoes, no damaging winds from those severe storms, which, there is no severe storm, or even hail. So, we're not expecting really any of that to be a concern. But yeah, once again, really it just kind of leads down to more of a flooding risk, and that is the main concern here. Especially out there by Louisiana, they can have some pretty nasty flooding, in which, given how much rainfall we're going to be seeing for these regions here, it definitely could be a bit of a flooding concern. So hopping back over here into the flooding risk here, for tomorrow, you can see they actually extended that slight risk here, that level 2 flooding threat, which gives at least a 15% chance probability of flooding in the yellow, which, this does include a lot of the southern side of the state of Louisiana, even out there by like Gulfport, in southern Mississippi, Mobile, and southern Alabama, and out there by like Pensacola. The WPC here, or the Weather Prediction Center, does have that level 2 flooding threat out there. So, if you guys are out in that region, if you know anybody out there, and if they're in an area that is prone to flooding, just give them a heads up. Let them know that that is going to be a potential concern. So definitely keep a close eye out there for that. Let's see here. Anna says these little storms are more of a flood risk. Yeah. That's definitely, the case with this storm here. This is not going to become a big bad tropical cyclone, thankfully. Like I said, it's hugging up against the side of, the country here, and it's not fully over water. Which is really limiting in what it can do. Not to mention there is a little bit of wind shear that was kind of, stunting the storm a little bit here, not really allowing for a quick development to really occur. There is a pretty good amount of convection, like we mentioned here, which I'll go and show you back on the satellite. You can see there's a lot of storm activity right now over eastern Louisiana, but once again, not a tropical storm, not a hurricane, of course. And it won't, I don't think it'll get to that point here overall. So once again, it just really kind of leads down to that flooding threat that we do have here. So for tomorrow being Thursday, we do have ourselves, once again, this level 2 threat. Working our way into Friday here, you can actually see that the Weather Prediction Center has issued a moderate risk, a level 3 out of 4 flooding threat. Now that's a pretty big deal, and that's out there by the south central and southwestern side of Louisiana, including areas by Lake Charles, Lafayette, just to the west here of Baton Rouge, in which the red does indicate at least a 40% chance probability of flooding. So that is a pretty nasty threat for flooding over the next several days. And that's really going to be the main concern. Once again, and I know I've said it a million times, but, I got to keep you guys updated with everybody joining us. So the main threat, please don't worry, too much about the storm system. I get it. A lot of people, a lot of news outlets are really hyping this storm up because they want attention. But I'm here to tell you it's okay. This is not a really big storm, but I will tell you there is a threat, though, for flooding. That is what we need to look out for. The winds, not a big deal. The flooding, the coastal problems, not too much of a big deal. Now, yes, it could get a little gusty at some of the coastlines, but once again, not a big concern wind-wise. Now, like I said, flooding is going to be a pretty big concern, though. That I will tell you, and flooding is a really big problem, especially for some of these regions out here in Louisiana. So once again, check up on your family, your friends. If you know anybody out here, just, give them a heads up, let them know what's going on. Tell them that there's just a big old rainstorm rolling through, because that's basically what this thing is. So, that's going to be rolling through, and this will be lasting for a little bit here. Once again, this is going to be quite a bit of rainfall for these regions here. And, once again, hopping back over here to the multi-day WPC forecast here for the next 1 to 5 days. Once again, you can see where a lot of that heaviest of the precipitation is going to be, and that's going to be out there really towards the south side here of Louisiana. I know it's a little hard to see the borders here, my bad. But yeah, the border of Louisiana is right in here, okay? So you can see that a lot of the heaviest of that precipitation is really going to be for that south side here. And, along the coastal regions here, once again, we could be seeing a pretty fair amount of rain. Some areas here possibly over right around 5 inches or so, which is, a pretty good amount, in which, definitely those lower lying spots and stuff like that could, really be problematic, for those regions here with that flooding concern here overall. Let's see here. Myra said, or Mayra, hopefully I'm saying your name right, saying, thank you. I'll let my family know. Yeah, I'm glad to help out, and I appreciate you letting your family know. It's definitely really important to make sure that you guys are, staying up to date and, taking this serious here. Like I mentioned, this is not a hurricane. This is not even a tropical storm. But, just because of that, don't let your guard down, because flooding is still a big problem with some of these storms like this one. Flooding is going to be an issue here. But, that's really the main problem, with this storm system here, is going to be all of the precipitation, that's associated with it. And, looking back over here at the satellite imagery here from the mesoscale floater that we do have here, you can see that, we have some pretty heavy convection going on right now, pretty heavy thunderstorm activity along the eastern side here of Louisiana. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the radar. I do want to go ahead and pull up the current radar out here, and as you can see, yeah, we really do have a big blob of rain that is working its way out there. If you zoom in here, you can actually kind of see maybe a little bit of circulation going on in there. But, definitely there is a lot of lightning, as you can see as well. A lot of storm activity going on at the moment. But yeah, so once again, heavy flooding concern for a lot of you folks out there. This is going to continue for the next couple of days, unfortunately. We do have that threat. So, we'll make sure to keep you guys updated and everything like that. So we're going to go over this one more time, and then we're going to roll off here. Just want to do a quick little update here. So once again, hopping back to my spaghetti models here. By the way, if you want to check out our website, go to nww116.com. That is our website. You guys can check out the latest spaghetti models and everything like that. It's still in the works. I'm still working on it, but, but once again, the latest spaghetti models does have this thing curving to the west here, continuing on a westerly trajectory out there throughout portions of Louisiana. And then which it will slow down and pull to the north over the next couple of days. Once again, we'll be just kind of sitting a lot of precipitation over Louisiana, causing for quite a bit, of overall precipitation totals. Hopping back over here to the spaghetti charts here, within the next little bit, we're not really expecting any heavy strengthening or anything like that, which is good. You can actually see, according to in the majority, the median here of these, spaghetti models, you can see that median point, just remains under that tropical storm criteria, which is in the green area here. And you can see that majority of models are under that. So that is leaning us towards this thing will likely not be a tropical storm, which we're very thankful for. But once again, flooding threat is still a concern. So please don't ignore the storm here. Obviously it's not the worst. It's not the end of the world, of course. It's not the worst of them all. But, I will tell you this, though, is that it is a flooding concern, and you do need to be looking out for it, okay? But yeah, once again, like I mentioned, this is all under tropical storm status here from the main models, which is definitely some good news. Here's the latest Hurricane Center update here overall. And you guys can see the area here, once again, is an overall 40% chance probability, of development. And what I mean by development is this storm becoming a tropical depression. It is a 40% chance, which, if you go off of probability here, anything below 50% is not likely, in which, as of now, 40% is still a good margin and, a good possibility, but it is currently unlikely. And I kind of believe that it's probably going to be quite unlikely, considering that we are pretty close to land. This storm here is, doesn't really have too much room to really work with, So that's really going to limit in terms of how much that storm is going to be potentially doing. But that is the development region. Once again, the storm is right in here, just right off the coast of Florida and Alabama here. It's just right in the region here. So, like I said, we'll keep you guys updated on this here. Once again, just some flooding concern. Just make sure you guys are watching out for that here. And if y'all have any questions before I roll off here, let me know. John says, let's see here. Hey, what the weather looking like for Savannah, Georgia on Friday? So Savannah, you know what? I don't have my models up right now, but I can bring them up really quickly for you. So Friday would be what, the 18th, if I'm not mistaken? Here, let me double check here. Yeah, the 18th would be on Friday. Gotcha. So it does look like we could definitely get some storms out there. Just kind of our typical, summertime thunderstorms, but, it doesn't really look like we're going to be dealing with anything, super concerning, no big storms or anything like that out there for you. But all right, everybody. Well, once again, if you guys have any questions before I roll off here, just wanted to hop on for, a quick minute, just do a bit of an overview of what's going on here. Just make sure that you guys, hit that subscribe button if you could, leave a like, and most importantly, share this. It'd be greatly appreciated, and that way we can help keep you guys up to date and make sure you guys are remaining weather aware out there. But once again, everybody, thank you all so much for joining. I really appreciate y'all. Tomorrow on the table, I think we're going to go live tomorrow morning on an update for this storm system here, just to kind of get you guys, in the loop of everything and what's going on and all that stuff. Alrighty, everybody. Let's see here. Anna, thank you so much for the 10 months of Tropical Storm Team, my friend. Saying thank you, Andrew. Anna, you are very welcome. Thank you so much for that. That is greatly appreciated. You guys in chat, please give Anna a big thank you for the support. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. That's really, really nice of you, my friend. And, you guys really do help keep me afloat, and I really appreciate it. I can never thank y'all more than enough. So, for the people who have donated and, who have supported us directly, seriously, thank you. So much, y'all. You guys are amazing, and we can't do it without you, and I really, really appreciate that. So, Anna, once again, thank you so much. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. But all right, everybody. Well, if you guys have any more questions before I roll off, last call. If you guys have any more questions that you want me to answer, I will be more than happy to. But like I said, next stream we're gonna do some more updates on this system here tomorrow morning. We'll let you guys know what's going on tomorrow morning and everything like that. Okay. What's up, K-Jack? Saying hi, injured everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully you're doing good yourself, man. It is good to see you here. But once again, like I said, once again, going once, going twice. If there's any questions you guys have about the storm or anything like that, please feel free to let me know. Alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining. Once again, thank you all for being here, and I appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate you. Team Kenny, we're going to see quite a bit of rain out there by New Orleans. They're actually getting quite a bit of precipitation right now. There is, a lot of that heavy precipitation over that region there. Now, once again, main concern is just going to be flooding for a lot of those regions here. So, all right, everybody. Y'all take care. Thank you so much for joining. We'll catch you guys here in another live stream, which will be tomorrow morning. So I hope to see you guys then. But all right, everybody. Thank you all for joining. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.